What brass balls advice would I give my 16-year-old self? I'm now 55 years young. I've got 39 years of experience, real world, in the trenches, winning, losing, frustration, embarrassments, entrepreneurship. I've coached minor pro hockey, coached amateur hockey, championship teams, recruiting, making money, losing money, hiring people, firing people, getting married, becoming a father, living in Canada, living in the United States. 39 years of cold, hard truths. What would I tell a young, yours relentless Michael McLean if I could turn back the clock and be 16 years old again? It's interesting. You may or may not know, I have been mentoring a 16-year-old young man by the name of Josh Peters over the last year and a bit. I have worked a little bit with Josh in terms of sharing ideas, what books to read, how to invest his time, how to eventually choose a school or a college or a university or entrepreneurship. This young man is 16 years old. He comes from a fantastic family. Like me, he won the lottery in terms of his parents, his grandparents, his overall family. Like me, when I was his age, there's no built-in excuses. He's got it all. He's living in one of the greatest countries of the world, in Canada. He's got great folks. He's got a great support system, and he's got opportunity, abundance all around him. So I've really enjoyed working with Josh over the last year and a half. I actually started mentoring him when we sat down at a family reunion. I know him through Krista, my wife Krista's side of the family. And I remember sitting down with him when he was 15 years old. And he said to me, he goes, "Michael, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a business owner. I like real estate. I like making money. I like sales. What would you recommend that I do?" And ever since then, a year and a half later, this kid has been kicking ass and taking names. What I love is when a person asks for help and then they're willing to do what you recommend. It's like a video that I shot a couple days ago that got all kinds of criticism and all kinds of hate from the younger generations, the teenagers and the Zoomers and all the 20-somethings. And it just proved positive that, the cupcakes and the snowflakes, it doesn't matter what age you're at, when people ask for help, but then they're not willing to take the tough advice that you give them. What I love about Josh Peters is if I say read a book, he reads a book. If I say subscribe to this newsletter, he subscribes to that newsletter. If I say, you got to be in the gym, he's in the gym. And, he's self-motivated. He has a vision for his life, and he's only 16 years old. But something that happened in his life that I can relate when I was a teenager is Josh was really doing well as far as reading books and learning business and studying what he needed to study. And about 6 months ago, he's a hell of a football player, and he's an excellent student. He's in grade 11, and he was playing for his championship football team this year, and he actually separated his shoulder in the championship game in the second quarter just before halftime. And even though his team went on to win the championship this year in the second half, it was some real adversity for this young man. He had never been injured before. He'd never had to battle Any adversity like that, like I've coached pro hockey and I've coached amateur hockey, and the interesting thing with injuries is it's much more of a emotional and mental battle coming back than it is actual physical, especially if you're a young player who's been healthy most of your career. When you tear a shoulder, or you separate a shoulder, or you break a leg or something playing hockey or football or whatever it is, it's the mental and the emotional part of the game that it tests just as much or more than the physical. So I knew what Josh was going through, but it's interesting. I would hear from him every single week the first 6 to 10 months that I was working with him. He would send me an email every week, and he would send me written book reports, and I was holding him accountable and coaching him, and his job was to finish, was to take action on what I recommended. And it worked like a charm for about 8 to 10 months. And then about, 5, 6, 7 months ago, he just went completely off the grid. He went completely dark. I ran into him a couple times when I was home in Canada, but all of a sudden, I didn't get the weekly emails. I didn't get the book reports. He just, he basically, fell off the end of the earth. And I remember going through these type of things when I was trying to be an entrepreneur, and when I was playing different sports, where you get momentum, you lose momentum, you get momentum, you lose momentum. So I could relate completely. And because of this kid's high level of character, he's an honest kid. He's got lots of great skill and potential. It was just a matter of time until he resurfaced. I didn't say anything. I didn't push him. I didn't give him a sermon. I didn't give him a pep talk. We have to go through these peaks and valleys as people. Teenagers have to go through peaks and valleys. Our children go through peaks and valleys. We as adults go through peaks and valleys. Hell, my parents are both 90 years young, and my dad was talking about a valley that he went through. Battling, moving into a retirement community for the first time, and it being the cold and dark winter months. So everybody goes through peaks and valleys, but understanding that is half the solution. So I got an email the other day just out of the blue from Josh, and I hadn't heard from him in several months. He's on my Michael McLean newsletter list. I send him my newsletter for free in the mail. I send him my weekly telegrams. He's got a copy of my 2 physical books. So I continue to communicate with him through the mailbox. But I was not surprised when he reached out the other day, and he sent me an email saying, my shoulder is healed, football is over, and I'm in a much better place. And myself being a former pro and amateur coach, I understand what he was talking about. I totally understand that dark place where you're injured, you can't go to the gym anymore, you can't train, you can't work out, you're not part of the games, and you lose some of your physical strength, you lose some of your fitness, but most importantly, it throws a winner like a guy like that out of his routine. And I don't know if he's old enough to understand, but that's exactly what that separated shoulder did. It threw him out of his success ritual, his routine. And what happens, like momentum is one of the most underrated things in the world. Like when you get momentum, you want to keep momentum. And that's why tiny stacking the wins is what champions do. It's about doing it every day. It's about stacking tiny wins. It's not about massive action. It's about massive consistency. Because massive consistency, 5 minutes of this, 10 minutes of this, stacking the W's, stacking the W's, stacking the W's, that adds up to massive consistency. It adds up to compounding over time, over weeks, over months, over years, and it builds unstoppable momentum. So this injury broke his stride, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And it takes some time to come around to that. So when I got the email, I said to my wife, Krista, I said, I'm not going to respond to Josh after all these months by email. I'm going to get him on the phone and we're going to talk man to man. And I'm going to help him get back on track. I'm going to help him get focused. But by the tone of his email, this kid is ready to go again. And I also shared with Krista how many times I was in his exact place where I was doing well, I was progressing, I was getting momentum, I was stacking the wins day after day, and then boom, something happened in my life to derail me. So I sent a message to Josh the other day and I said, listen, I said, I don't do email coaching, I don't do texting, I don't do this cell phone deal. I said, what time can you talk on the phone? And it's spring break here near the end of March, so he got back to me and said, how about 11 o'clock on a Friday morning? So I was really excited about speaking to him. I have a lot of time for this kid. He wrote his own book without me even knowing last year. And the book, it's a Kindle book and a physical book. This is the type of kid this is. He wrote a 60, almost 70 page physical book. It's also available on Kindle. And it's titled, it's on Amazon. You can buy a copy on Amazon. I hardly ever recommend books because most books are bullshit. They're just fluff, filler, and theory. But this is a book written by, at the time, a 15-year-old man, a young man who was going through this journey. And it's called The 13 Ways to Conquer Your Teenage Years. And it's like $11 for the physical version. Just go to Amazon and search Josh Peters and search the title, The 13 Ways to Conquer Your Teenage Years. I bought copies, print copies for all of my Mastermind members. We sold lots of copies to people that were on my newsletter list. And anybody, if you have children, if you have teenagers, or you have young adults or even grandchildren, this is the one book that I would recommend this year. I'm not on here pitching other people's books. I read the same 15 books over and over and over again. So there's hardly any new books that I would even bother with. But this book is so well written, and it's written by a teenager's peer. It's written by a 16-year-old. Who's going through this journey. And I got to tell you, it's a simple read. It's only 60, 70 pages. But the feedback I got from my guys who are fathers and grandfathers, they were like, Michael, what a badass book. I mean, they read it, their queen read it, their children read it, their teenagers read it, and in some cases, even their grandkids read it. So you can get it on Amazon, Josh Peters, 13 Ways to Conquer Your Teenage Years. It will blow you away. It blew me away. And I had no idea this kid was going to write a book. So we get on the phone, and I usually don't share details of, client work on the phone if I ever talk, but this was too good to not share with my friends here. I got on the phone with them and we started talking a little bit about life. He's on spring break and he's in grade 11 and football's over. And I said, Josh, are you 100% healthy? And he said, I'm 100% healthy. The collarbone has healed. I'm ready to go. I said, and I'm a former pro coach, an amateur coach. I said, are you 100% mental? Are you 100% emotional? Are you 100% spiritual? Are you 100% ready to go? And he thought about that for a minute and he said, I may be 100% physical, but I still think I have a lot of work psychologically. In other words, once you get hurt, it's very difficult to start practicing again, start playing again, start going to the gym. But he's almost there. And I said to him, in your email, you asked me what books you should be reading. And I talked to him. I've always given him the advice, it's better to read 10 books, good books, 10 times than it is to read 100 books. Like, I made the mistake of reading 2,000 books over the last 30 years. I'm not kidding. I would read a book a week and I was like, yeah, I'm a beast. And now with more experience, I'm the type of guy who I have about 10 to 15 books on my shelf that I take down every year and I reread them. Some of them I'm in the 10th reading, some of them I'm in the 15th reading. But that's a massive tip that I learned, and I restated it to him. It's better to reread 10 outstanding books, the best books you've ever read, 10 times, one time per year, than it is to read 100 different books. Because there's so much fluff and garbage and filler and ghost-written books. So I said, first of all, you need to reread all those books. But I said, listen, Josh, I'm going to give you 3 tips. I'm going to give you 3 pro tips that I wish I knew when I was 16. Okay, so if I could turn back the clock, if I could turn back Father Time 39 years, I said, this is the exact advice, the 3 secrets that I would give myself. And I said, first of all, I said, it's really important that you understand that when the normies around you, your friends at school, your teachers, people on social media, when they say, just relax and take it easy, you're only 16, you're only 17, you're only 15. I said, you have to understand that those people are not, I repeat, not your peers, okay? You don't have as much time as you think. So don't be one of these guys that walks around when you're 16, when you're 19, when you're 25, and you think you have all this time. Well, you know, everybody tells me to relax. I'll start my business when I turn 25. I'll start my company when I'm 30. I'll get my act together when I'm, 25. And I said, my dad, who was an entrepreneur for 71 years, and my grandfather, who was an entrepreneur for 56 years running general stores, they would fucking lose their mind if they had ever heard me say that. And I said to Josh, I said, listen, let me give you some idea of the real world, okay? I said, when I was your age, when I was 15 years old, when I was 16 years old, I said, you know what I was doing? Because he knows that we live in Naples. He knows we live on the lake in Canada. He knows I retired at age 47. He knows that I live life and do business on my own terms. He sees it. He's a smart, intelligent kid. He wants the freedom, the autonomy, and the personal sovereignty that I've worked for 40 years. So he totally understands it. So I said, you know what I was doing when I was 15 and 16? I said I had my own window cleaning company. And he was like, yeah, that's right. I said, yeah, that's right. I said, you know how much I was banking a week, 52 weeks of the year when I was in grade 10, 11? And he said, no. And I said, I would clear every single time over $1,000 a week. Most of it cash. That's $50,000 a year with 2 part-time employees, which were my 2 pals. I give them $50 and they'd go out and wash the windows. And I'd walk into every retail business on our 2 main streets in our small town, 6,000 people, and I would get the money, $10, $5, $20. And my only expenses were those 2 guys that I gave, $50 or $30, whatever. They were happy as could be. This is going back in the olden days. And then my only thing I had to worry about was vinegar water and some squeegees. So I was like 90% profit margins. All I had to do was take that bucket of water out every single Monday when I had a spare at school or the afternoon or skip class or whatever. And all I had to do was walk up and down the 2 main streets in the community. It probably took me 3 to 4 hours, summer, winter, fall, feeling good, not feeling good. And I would have $1,000 every week in my pocket, sometimes more. And I said, so here you are, you think that, you're ahead of the game. I said, I had thousands and thousands of dollars in my bank account when I was 15 and 16 years old, because I had that window cleaning company that I had for 2 years. I was flush. I said, so that's just to give you an idea. I said, you know, my daughter Emery, she's 11 years old. I said, how much do you think she has in her account? She has a dog walking company here. She's done lemonade stands. She's done chores. I said, she's got over $3,000 American. $3,000 American in her little savings account. Dog walking, $5, $10, lemonade stands, you name it. So it's a wake-up call, right? I said, Warren Buffett always talks about when he started saving money and investing it. I said, when Warren Buffett was 16 years old, when he was your age, how much did Warren Buffett have? And the answer to that question is $60,000. So the fifth wealthiest man on God's blue earth, Warren Buffett, had $60,000 invested or saved, I don't know, when he was 15 or 16 years old. That's a holy shit. That's a like, you know what? These guys didn't start when they were 30. They didn't start when they were 40. They didn't fuck around when they were kids. They were like, you know what? I love freedom. I love money. I love serving people. I love finance. I love entrepreneurship. And they get busy doing it. I was washing windows. Emery's walking dogs. My dad started when he was 15, never went back to school. So I wanted to get that first thing through his head, that no, time is not on your side. Do you know my business partner, Marc-Andre LeBlanc? Like Mark, has been working with me for 5 years. But you know what it feels like? He's 25 now. It feels like 5 fucking minutes. And maybe it doesn't feel like 5 minutes to him, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give you 10 years. I'm going to go balls to the wall with this company. You partner with me. You do the behind, I'll do the front, and I'll give you a minimum 10 years. Well, hell, we're 4 years into that. We got 6 years left where, I'm going to reevaluate whether I want to keep working, and it's just a blink of an eye. So I said, just because you're 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, doesn't mean you don't need urgency. Because the greats that are 50, 60, 70, the Buffetts in their 80s and 90s, when those guys were your age, they were already kicking ass. So Warren Buffett was asked in his book, the only book worth writing, the one he wrote himself, and they said, is there one secret to success when it comes to money? He said, yeah, there's one secret to success when it comes to money. He said, get started early. How do you like that for advice? The 5th richest man in the world's greatest investor. Is there any special advice that you would give in terms of money? Not marriage, not being a father, money. Yes, get started early. Hey, when Buffett talks about money, when he talks about investments, I'm all ears. When he talks about fitness, or he talks about marriage, or he talks about, raising kids, I'm not all ears. But I learn from the best at what they actually do. So that's the first thing. If you got teenagers and you got young adults and you got grandkids and all this other stuff, if they have any aspirations to be business owners, to be entrepreneurs, whatever it is, it's the sooner they start, the better. And this, just let them be kids or whatever, it's such horseshit from the normies. That's advice from people who have never won anything. And they certainly haven't been entrepreneurs. My dad would have a fucking stroke if he ever heard that. When we were growing up, it's like bake sales, lemonade stands, garage sales, anything you can do to make money. And it's the same for my child. And the reason is because that's what she loves to do. I'm not telling her to do anything. I'm just saying, if you want freedom, if you want control, if you want the life of your dreams, if you don't want a boss, then this is what you're signing up for. And the sooner you start, the better. So that was my first piece of advice of the 3 things. And then I said to Josh, I said, listen, I said, what the hell do you want? And there's silence on the phone. He thinks, most people think you're going to give them a pep talk or a Tony Robbins speech. And I'm like, none of that. I'm a question guy. I want to know what he thinks. So the second thing is, I ask him that question. You know, the first thing is, time isn't on your side. You're young until you're not. You're young until you're not. And starting early is the greatest thing. The second thing is, what do you really want? I said, not what your friends at school want, not what your football coach wants, not what, Tony Robbins or Andrew Tate say you should want. What does Josh Peters want? When you see yourself at age 20, at age 30, at age 50, what do you want? And what I say has nothing to do with it. This is the life that I want. But what's most important is you build the world that you want. And it was amazing because I made him answer that question 7 times. That's my 7 times deep rule. And you can do this with your queen, you can do this with your kids, you can do this with your business partner, you can do this with whoever believes in you. But I want to know what a person wants. When I work with a hockey player and I trade for them and recruit them, I don't sit there with the knee pads on and beg them to play. In fact, I turn the tables and I'm like, what do you want out of hockey? I want a scholarship. Why? Well, why? 7 times I go deep. So I want to know what, and I want to know why. So I did that with Josh on the phone. It took about 10 minutes. And I wouldn't let him off the hook. I'm like, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? He says something, I go, why? He says something else, I go, why? He goes, well, I want to have money. I'm like, why? Why do you want money? Well, money gives me freedom. Why do you want freedom? And after 7 times, you're now down to it. You're now at the heel of the hunt, as my grandfather would say. All the bullshit, all the political cliches are gone. This is why I want to be this. This is why I want to be a police officer. This is why I want to be a firefighter. This is why I want to be a SEAL. This is why I want to be a real estate investor. Whatever it is you're dreaming. But we got down to it using that 7 levels why. So that's the second thing, is 7 levels why deep. Because make sure your kid's ladder isn't against the wrong fucking wall. Okay? When my hockey players say, I want to go to the States and play hockey on a Scully, I'm like, why? And they need to defend that thing 7 times. Well, my mom, well, I don't care. What do you want? What do you want? Not your brother, not your sister, not your mom, not your dad, but what do you really want? This is your life. These are your decisions. You're a young man. And there's nothing worse than I hate seeing people have their ladder against somebody else's wall. You want to join the military and that's your dream and that's your reason why? Then fill your boots and do it. And go all in and burn the ships and make it a reality. You want to run the largest nonprofit for homeless people in the world? Well, fill your fucking boots and do it. But make sure it's what you want and make sure that you understand your reasons why. So that was number 2. The third thing I talked about is focus and consistency. I said to him, one of the big things that Josh has is discipline. This kid for 15, 16 years old, he has discipline. And what I mean by that is, I said to him a year and a half ago, I said, you got to put that phone away. I said, you're never going to be able to read books. You're never going to be able to have good time management. You're never going to make any money if you don't put that goddamn phone away. So he took it to heart and he said, you know what? I'm going to put that phone away. And he's the type of guy, he's not distracted, right? He's got that focus. But I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to give you the third thing, which is the biggest thing of all. Focus isn't about, not watching this or putting your phone away. I said, if you want to be an entrepreneur or whatever it is you want to eventually be, I said, the biggest thing is, when it comes to focus, which is the third thing, is focus is choosing what not to do, not what to do. Social media tells you to do this, do that, read the books, drink the coffee, starve yourself to noon, eat this, eat that. I'm not interested in any of that horse shit. I'll make my decisions with vitamin N. I said, you know how I used to talk about vitamin N? It was in my book. Vitamin N means you say no to almost everything. When you're at school, you already know this, but he says no to vaping. He says no to tobacco. He says no to weed. And that allows him to say yes to the weight room, yes to foods that are good for him, yes to good families. And it just goes on and on from that. Yes to reading and yes to all this other stuff. But it's just, I said to him, focus is about choosing what not to do. And every time you have to make a decision about something, I said, always stop yourself and say, does this move me closer to the world of my dreams? And if the answer isn't a hell yes, then it's a hell no. Is that how your kids and your teenagers and your adult children and you think? Every opportunity you get, you open up Facebook, you open up Twitter, you turn on the news, you check your phone, you go and watch reels, you drink after work, you eat the wrong foods, you skip your walk, whatever it is. I said, is any of that stuff saying yes to that stuff? It's saying no to your dreams. And actually you're taking your dream and you're just kicking it in the ass every time. So I said the secret, the third thing is focus, and focus is about what not to do. My goals every year, people are like, Michael, what are your goals this year? And I'll name 2 things and they'll be like, those are things to stop doing. Those are things you're breaking up with. Those are things that you're curating and swift sorting out of your life. I said, yes, the most powerful goals on earth, the most powerful dreams that I have are goals and dreams and my mission of what not to do. Because I can't accomplish what I really want if I don't curate all that rat poison out of my life. So yes, I focus all the time, but I can't have the focus I need to win until I have the discipline to say no to almost everything. What did Warren Buffett say about the difference between the rich and the really rich? And he knows both. He said, what's the difference between the rich and the really rich? And he said, the difference between the millionaires and the billionaires, he says the billionaires say no to everything. No to the meeting, no to the bad habit, no to the social media, no to the cell phone, no to politics, no. And that to me is like worth its gold. When a guy like Buffett says, my entire professional world is built on vitamin N. No. So I hope this rings true for you. I hope it rings true for your children or your teenagers or even your grandchildren, and that you buy a copy of Josh's book. First of all, it's good karma, because we should be supporting young entrepreneurs guns a-blazing. It's $11 to support somebody. There's nothing in it for me. I don't charge this kid for anything. I don't charge him for my newsletters or my time. I've been called to serve some young people. I've been coaching kids now age 4 to 40 my whole hockey career. So I'm comfortable coaching teenagers. I'm very comfortable coaching good kids. And this is just a situation where I get the privilege and the pleasure of working with a great kid from a great family. And if I can help him 1%, 2%, 5%, if I can help him eliminate mistakes, if I can help him stay and keep his momentum, if I can help him get out of, funks and slumps that we all go through, then I've done my job. Because at the end of the day, he has to do the work. And the one last thing I'll say, and I wrote this down in the card so I would not forget it, but it's about stacking up wins. And I told him, I said, your generation 15 and above, and I work with these hockey players, and I teach some skating, and I teach some tennis. And I said, one of your big blind spots in society, because my generation is the worst generation of parents yet, is I say, you don't know the discipline of delayed gratification. And Josh was like, what do you mean? And I said, it takes 10 years in business, okay? Delayed gratification. It takes 10 years in any business to do anything worthwhile. And I mean, I was in the hockey business, it took that long. I was in the insurance business, it took a decade. I'm in the coaching business. I've got to go another 6 years to make this worthwhile. I said, Josh, do you know that I'm willing, and I'm going to, God willing, I'm going to shoot one video every day for 10 plus years. 365 a day, I don't miss. I'm going to send 365 emails every day, I don't miss, for 10 years. I said, I'm going to walk every day for the next 10 years, God willing. I'm going to read for the next 10 years, God willing. I'm going to get up and pray for the next 10 years. I said, I don't take days off from the process. I can have a vacation, I can go lie on the beach, but I don't miss my wins, okay? You got to stack up the W's, understanding that there's not going to be any success for another 10 years. You know, I've been shooting videos for 3-4 years, and I don't expect to be world famous or to generate millions of dollars from BoobTube, because that stuff takes 10 years of delayed gratification. And that's what separates, that's what's pounding the rock is all about. You get up and you chip away, you chip away, you chip away, you chip away. You get up the next day, you chip away, you chip away, you chip away, you chip away. I shoot these videos. I had the China virus. I've been traveling. I've changed countries. I've been sick. I've been happy. I've been injured. I've been sad. I've been busy. I've been not busy. Never miss a day. Never, ever miss a day. So I said, if you decide to build an audience and a list, like I told him to, an email list and an audience on whatever platform he wants, I said, you better be ready to do it every day for 10 years straight. And if you're going to miss and you're going to disappear and you're going to make excuses, I said, you're never going to make it, because there's a handful of people that won't miss. They'll stack up the W's every single day. And these W's are massive. So my morning, I told Josh, I said, you know, I win because of the tiny win. I never fucking hit home runs. I never hit triples. I never hit fucking doubles. And I don't have the skill. I don't have the talent. I'm a grinder. I'm what they say in hockey, I'm a fourth line ham and egger. I'm a time and spacer. I go out there and hammer people. And I let the stars have a rest. I'm a ham and egger. I'm a blue collar guy. So I got to get up every day, open my eyes, and I got to stack up the little W's. I got to stack up the wins. So on a Sunday morning, I get up the same time every day, 5:59. I'm like a robot. I don't sleep in. I don't need an alarm. So I open up my eyes at 1 minute to 6. And when I'm tired, which isn't very often, I count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, feet on the floor. That's the discipline I've done for 35 years. I never used to be a morning person. When I was Josh's age, I was like, oh, I'm not a morning person. Oh, I'm not a math student. I don't know anything about money. It was just all this self-limiting beliefs and bullshit. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. This morning, my feet hit the floor. That's win number 1. I'm in first place. 6 a.m. on Sunday, I'm in first place. And I think that, and I say that to myself. Feet on the floor, I'm in first place. I go into the bathroom, I splash some water on my face, I go to the bathroom, and I brush my teeth. And then I go back to the bed. My wife, Krista's in bed. She's asleep. And I kneel down, and I do my 3 or 4 minute gratitude prayer. I never, ever ask my Creator for anything. I have all the wealth, all the opportunity, and all the abundance any man could ever want. I would be fucking ashamed if I asked my Creator for anything. I live in the 2 greatest countries in the world. I'm blessed with people in my life that love me. I have great friends, great clients, you name it. So all I do for 4 to 5 minutes is give thanks to my Creator. That's it, every friggin' morning. Thank you for my wife. Thank you for my daughter. Thank you for my mom. Thank you for my dad. Thank you for books. Thank you for coffee. Thank you for the ability to shoot videos. Thank you for the ability to walk. Thank you for the ability to copyright. Thank you for the ability to go to the gym. And that's it. and it takes 4 to 5 minutes. That's a win. Boom, that's my second win of the day. My visitation, my gratitude with God is my second win. I got 2 wins and it's only 10 after 6. Then I go outside and there's in the kitchen and there's 2 glasses, big glasses of filtered water that I put out the night before. I need to drink water every morning, 2 big glasses. And I chug those 2 glasses down. Win number 3. I'm stacking up the W's. Win, win, win. I'm gaining what? Momentum. Then I go, I put on my rucking vest, I go to the bathroom one more time, and I grab my phone, I grab the gimbal, and I'm ready to go out and shoot a video, walk outside in nature, get some fresh air. As soon as I've walked 10 minutes, that's my only goal, is to put my shoes on. As soon as I put my shoes and my rucking vest on and I turn that doorknob and I take my first step, I know I'm gonna walk today, another win. I'm stacking the deck. Boom, boom, boom. I got 4 wins. Okay, as soon as I get to 10 minutes on my walk, boom, another win. Then after I'm warmed up, I may or may not take out this phone and I'll shoot a video, whatever's in my heart. I never plan these. Whatever I'm thinking, whatever I think will help serve the most people, whatever is on my mind that I feel the world needs to hear or what I need to get off my chest, I shoot the video. It could be 15 minutes, it could be 40 minutes, it could be an hour. And then soon as the video's done, boom, another W for me. So I've got all this stuff done, these little tiny things, you know, and I'm only an hour and a half into my day, and I feel like $1 million. I walk back home and I send Marc-Andre, my business partner, immediately. I text him from my phone, okay, caveman dinosaur, tech dinosaur, and I send him the video I shot. That's it, no editing, nothing. I just shoot it off the cuff. If I mix up or if it's terrible, it's terrible. None of it. No lights, no fancy, no script, none of that. I just shoot from the hip. Unvarnished, 100%, uncut. Soon as I press send, another win, boom, I just won again. Then I sit down and I chug a 3rd glass of water after my hour walk. Boom, another win. I'm still in the first 2 hours of my day, maybe 2.5 hours. And then I sit down out by the pool and I write the email that goes with this video. That takes me 5 to 10 minutes. Boom, another win. Do you know how great I feel? Do you know how my self-esteem, my self-image, you know, I'm building momentum, right? I just won the first hour of my day. I just won the second hour of my day. And I'm en route to win the 3rd hour of my day. After that, I can do whatever the hell I want. I can hang out with the family. But I take it even, I want more little wins. I want to stack more wins. I'm addicted to stacking wins. So I jump in the pool or I jump in the lake and I go for a quick swim. And then I sit down, I set a timer, and it used to be 5 minutes, and it was 10 minutes, and it was 15 minutes. And I sit down and I write copy. I call it Operation Money Suck. I sit down with my laptop by the lake, on the boat, or by the pool. Nobody bothers me. I have my morning cup of coffee from Dunkin' Donuts, and I write. I write emails, I write telegrams, I write articles for the newsletter, I write sales copy, whatever. And after 1 hour, ding, the timer goes off and it's time for a break. And I jump in the pool, I drink some more water, whatever. Then the best part of my morning, another win by the way with that writing, and I started with 5 minutes, that used to be a win. Then 10 minutes of writing, that was a win. Then 30 minutes, that was a win. A win is a win. And then the final piece of my morning, the final piece, which is the best part, I always delay gratification. My favorite thing in the world to do. If this was my last day on earth, one of the things I do, not everything, but one of the things I would do is I would have a cup of coffee and I would read my favorite book or my favorite newsletter. I'm not kidding. Even if it was my last day on God's blue earth. And I would enjoy a big cup of coffee and I would sit by the pool or sit by the lake. That's my happy place. I'm a voracious reader. I have an insatiable appetite to learn. I'm a learning machine. That's what makes me happy. So if I do that, I would do that on my deathbed if I could. I'm gonna read until I can't read anymore because that's where my personal growth and happiness is. So I leave that to the last thing in my magic morning, my deep work, my magic time, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But at the end of it, that coffee and that book or that newsletter printed off is my reward. And I sit by the dock, I sit on the boat, I've got all those wins stacked up, and then I sit there for half an hour, 45 minutes, up to an hour, and read. I put all those obstacles in front of me before I get the coffee, before I get to read the book. And then it's win, 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 win. I stack the wins, I stack the wins, I stack the wins, I pound the rock, and then finally I get to the reading. By then I'm 3 to 4 hours into my day. I got 21 hours left. 21 hours left. If I do nothing but lay in a hammock the rest of the day, which I don't, I would be good. On a Sunday, that's it for me. I'm done after 3 to 4 hours. On a Saturday, I'm done after 3 to 4 hours. My wife is just getting out of bed. My daughter's just getting ready for school, and I've already stacked the wins. I've already stacked a tower of tiny wins. And here's the thing. I do it every day. Every day. I can't remember the last day I took a day off. I'm talking 30 plus years without a day off of stacking wins. I've been to Australia for 5 weeks. I've been on honeymoons. I've been on cruises. I've traveled the world. I've never taken a day off in 30 years. I've never taken one single day off from learning, from marketing, from growing, from walking, all those things. And you know, I've sold over $153 million in business, from insurance to haircuts to hockey tickets, you name it. But you know, the thing that I'm most proud of next to being a husband and a father has nothing to do with money, has nothing to do with business success. The thing that I'm most proud of, the number one thing I'm most proud of next to being a husband and a father, is the consistency I've shown. The fact that I have walked for 20 years straight. The fact that I have written for 20 years straight. The fact that I have read for 20 years straight. Some days 5 minutes, some days 10, but I don't miss. Weekends make me weak. Like my dad says, 100% is easy, 99% is brutal. If I don't do something every day, if I don't stack the wins every day, it's brutal. A day off kills me. If I took a day off from reading, or a day off from writing, or a day off from shooting a video, or a day off from prayer, or a day off from drinking water, man, I'd kill 20 years of momentum. I'd be like Josh trying to come back from that injury. So for me, 100% is simple, 100% is easy, 99% brutally tough. I'm all in all the way. So I got 20 hours left in my day. I return some calls, some emails. I have an afternoon nap. I always have lunch with my beautiful wife, Krista. I pick up my daughter at her coach's place. I take her to the horse barn in the evenings. We hang out, we eat together, we talk, we rollerblade, we walk dogs, everything. Because I stacked the wins. I stacked the wins. I get up with the sun and I stack the wins. I get up with the sun and I stack the wins. That's it. I went way off base with that one. Buy a copy of Josh's book on Amazon. The title again, The 13 Ways to Conquer Your Teenage Years. It's $11, and trust me, you'll get some wicked badass karma from supporting such an outstanding young man. Amazon, $11, 13 Ways to Conquer Your Teenage Years. By the way, it was one of the top books that I read personally last year. Not just for kids, but for me, myself. Lots of great stuff in there. 2 words that changed my life. 2 words that'll change yours. Be relentless.